any awards. Congressman Luetkemeyer, thank you very much for calling into the show, and thank you for your Facebook post. I thought that was an important thing, especially at this time and this juncture in the election.
Well, thank you, Jamie. Great to be with you again. I continue to have people ask me about my support of Trump. Once he was a presumptive nominee this last spring, I was all in for him because I've said all along that whoever the nominee was going to be, I was going to be supporting him 100%. And so I endorsed him again after the convention and have since tried to continue to make my feelings felt. Because at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton is not acceptable. She is, as WikiLeaks has shown us, a very, very corrupt individual. I think she represents another 4 years of the failed Obama policies. And, I think you can see, and we can argue about it all morning, but I mean, my goodness, we've got Obamacare imploding in front of our eyes here, skyrocketing premiums that are causing it to implode quicker than what they anticipated. We have an economy that is not growing. We had 1% growth so far this year and 1% inflation, so therefore we've had no growth. And I talked to lots of people, and the growth of terrorism around the world and the threat to our national security is a big issue, and they're enhancing that. They're enabling that by the lack of leadership providing around the world. And then, as you alluded to in your opening remarks here, with regards to the Supreme Court, that is probably the most important issue in this election from the standpoint that the Supreme Court judges that the next president is going to appoint, which could be several, including one that we have an opening already, they're not going to affect just the next 4 years of that presidency. They could affect the next 40 years. And so those decisions that the justices make, they set precedents. And so if you allow Hillary to pack the Supreme Court, they will set precedents that will take years and maybe never, ever be overturned. So this is extremely important. And then you also mentioned that, Roy Blunt could be the 51st vote. I mean, it's important to re-elect Roy because not only he's a great Missourian, he works terribly hard for our state, he could be the 51st vote to keep Hillary from being able to appoint that should she be the president. But, I think Trump's in a good position. He's got a tough road ahead of him here, but I think that it's still possible. There's a lot of energy for him, and we're hopeful.
Well, and that's why, between Roy Blunt and Blaine Luetkemeyer, we need these two to make sure that we keep them in Washington, D.C. Roy has his focus on energy policy and his focus on health policy. If we are going to repeal Obamacare, Roy Blunt has proven to be very knowledgeable in the health care way. In fact, if they listened to him and you and Jim Talon back in the day, we wouldn't have had needed Obamacare. They were pushing the mobility of health insurance plans. And for you, Blaine Luetkemeyer, I think, listen, Donald Trump, thankfully, has, I don't want to get too wonky here, but has talked about the need to return to community banking and to repeal Dodd-Frank. And banking and commerce, that's right in your wheelhouse. And so if Donald Trump is going to push that agenda, which he should, you'd be the perfect person to help him do that because of your knowledge in that category.
Well, thank you for that. Yeah, I have a lot of background in that, and I have continued to work on it diligently. With my position on the Financial Services Committee, I chair the Housing and Insurance Subcommittee right now, and I very likely could move over to the financial institutions, which oversees the banks and credit unions and mortgage bankers and all of the other financial services industry entities. So, yeah, I want to be a part of that. I think I can add some value to all of the discussions from the standpoint of the history of where I come from and my background, both as a regulator and as a private sector person for 30 years. So, yeah, I think there's a lot that we can offer. And, Mr. Trump has talked to our caucus before, and he's very anxious to work with us. I mean, he has reached out to us, and in fact, his tax plan, which he's gotten some static over, is actually our tax plan.
Oh,
his
yeah.
first tax plan, he scrapped, and he came to us, and our Better Way agenda, which has got 6 different things that we're going to try and implement should we get the House, the Senate, and a Republican president, includes tax reform, and he's adopted that tax reform plan. So when he says he's going to be able to create 25 million jobs, I can tell you he's going to do it because we've had our economists look at that. He says he's going to create trillions of dollars of revenue. I can tell you it's going to happen because our economists have told him that. So,
right, Congressman, I'm up against...
We're excited.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you sharing that, and make sure you vote for Congressman Blaine Luetkemeyer and support him, Roy Blunt, and, of course, Donald Trump. Thank you, sir.
So my wife orders